Nursing Assistant Level 1 Information Session. Welcome to the Caregiver Training Institute's Nursing Assistant Level 1 Online Information Session. Julie Bucher, RN, is the founder and program director for the Caregiver Training Institute. Caregiver Training Institute is a career medical training school which established in 2008 to provide quality education to those interested in joining the medical field. We are dedicated to training the next generation of caregivers and laying the foundation for the next generation of nurses. Our focus is on training certified nursing assistants and certified medication aides for positions in long-term care facilities and hospitals. For many of our students, obtaining their CNA certification is the next step in pursuing their nursing career. We are pleased that you have chosen to learn about our OSBN-approved NA1 program and hope you will find this information session helpful and instructive. Our goal is to help you understand the role of the Certified Nursing Assistant in Oregon, discuss the skills training you need to prepare you to become a successful CNA, and review the OSBN regulations, program entrance requirements, training costs, program completion requirements, and school policies. Our registration process begins by submitting your online student profile and completing the following Nursing Assistant Level 1 online information session. It is important that you view the online information session presentation in its entirety. By signing and submitting a statement of acknowledgement and understanding at the end of the presentation, you are declaring that you have reviewed and understand the information presented in the NA1 online information session and wish to enroll in our Nursing Assistant Level 1 training program. Certified Nursing Assistant Employment Outlook and Wages. Healthcare support is one of Oregon's fastest growing occupations and is expected to grow over 22% by 2024. Wages for certified nursing assistants in the Portland metro area range from $13 an hour to $21 an hour. Role of the Certified Nursing Assistant. Certified nursing assistants provide basic patient care under the direction of a nurse, and also assist nurses with procedures and families with care requests. The job can include assisting with personal care duties such as bathing, dressing, grooming, toileting, changing linens, oral care, feeding, assistance with mobility, transferring or transporting patients who cannot do these tasks alone, and seeing to client safety. CNAs may also aid physicians and nursing staff with medical procedures, documenting patient interactions, gathering vital signs, weights, and height measurements, and collecting non-invasive body fluid specimens for testing. Many individuals who begin their nursing careers as CNAs later become LPNs or RNs. Certified Nursing Assistant Jobs. Certified nursing assistants provide hands-on nursing care to patients, residents, clients, and customers in a variety of healthcare settings. Sources for employment include nursing homes, long-term care facilities, home health care agencies, staffing agencies, hospices, daycare centers and schools, and urgent care centers. Nursing homes and skilled rehab facilities must hire CNAs for the staffing needs of their facility. They are required by law to maintain a strict ratio between caregivers and patients, and these staffing ratios are expected to be set even lower in the future. Other healthcare settings such as hospitals, assisted living facilities, and doctors' offices are not required by law to hire CNAs. Nursing Assistant Level 1 Training Program Course Content. The Nursing Assistant Level 1 Training Program provides students with the training to develop the basic competencies required by state and federal laws for employment as a nursing assistant. The course includes a combination of classroom lectures, lab practices, and supervised clinical work at a medical care facility. Nursing Assistant Level 1 Class Options. Which class should I take? NA1 Accelerated classes allow students to complete the program quicker, but they move fast and are more challenging. Classes are designed for students with good reading comprehension skills, strong study habits, and time management skills. NA1 Day and Evening classes allow students more time to read the required chapters, review the course material, practice their skills, and study for exams. If you struggle with reading, we recommend you enroll in a regularly scheduled class instead of an accelerated class. NA1 Weekend classes. Classes run 8 hours and are held on Saturdays and Sundays over a 10-week period. Weekend classes are designed for students who have commitments during weekdays and evenings. Online NA1 classes. Students enrolling in online NA1 classes must have access to a reliable computer with an internet connection and an email address. They need to be able to work independently during the online portion of the program. It is a condition of the program that online NA1 students must complete the online didactic portion of the program and take their final exams no later than 7 days prior to the start of the class in which they are scheduled to attend labs and clinical. Online NA1 students are required to complete the entire program within 120 days of the successful completion of the online program. NA1 online students will attend their labs and clinical rotation with one of the day or evening classes scheduled at the school. Nursing Assistant Level 1 Class Options. NA1 Enhanced Learning classes feature an additional 20 hours of didactic training, providing students with more in-depth information on program segments. Place an additional focus on vocabulary and medical terminology. Allow for practice in test-taking skills. Offer training and guidance on employment readiness skills. Give students more time to read and review program materials, practice skills, and study for exams. Nursing Assistant Level 1 Training Program Schedules. NA1 training programs are a total of 155 hours. NA1 accelerated day, evening, and weekend schedules. A minimum of 80 hours in class and lab. 75 hours of clinical practice at a medical care facility. Online NA1 schedules. A minimum of 53 hours online theory. A minimum of 27 hours of lab practice at the school, and 75 hours of clinical practice at a medical care facility. Online NA1 students may start their program any time after receiving their login information. They take their final exam at the school and attend labs and a clinical rotation with the class scheduled at the school. Due to OSBN time constraints for program completion, weekend schedules are not available for online NA1 program students to select. Nursing Assistant Level 1 Training Program Schedules. The NA1 Enhanced Learning Program is a total of 175 hours. 100 hours in class lab and 75 hours in a clinical setting. Nursing Assistant Level 1 Training Program Admission Eligibility. You must be at least 16 years old to enroll in the NA1 program. If you are under 18 years old, you must have a parent or guardian signature to enroll. You must be able to read, write, and communicate in English. Students should be able to read at the 6th grade level or above. You must be in good health with no contagious diseases,
no existing physical or mental health conditions, and no physical restrictions that limit your ability to safely participate in the program or interfere with your ability to perform the essential functions of a CNA or CMA. Any disease, illness, medical, mental incapacitation, or physical restriction that may hinder the successful and/or safe performance of the skills in the class clinical setting must be reported to the school. We reserve the right to require a doctor's release for a student to be admitted into a training program or continue in a training program. If a student has a medical, mental incapacitation, or physical restriction that may affect their ability to safely participate in the program and perform patient care activities. If a doctor's release sets limitations or restrictions that interfere with or preclude a student from participating in classroom labs or going into the clinical rotation, their program will be put on hold and it may affect their ability to complete the program. You must be able to pass a state and national criminal background check and a 10-panel drug screening.
Criminal background check screening requirement. State and nationwide criminal background checks will be run on any students 2 business days prior to the first day of class. In compliance with OSBN and OHA regulations, the criminal background check will include a Social Security number trace, state national criminal background history, sex offender registry check, and OIG LEIE check. Some crimes may preclude clinical placement and OSBN certification licensure. In reviewing criminal background check information, the OSBN will consider the nature of the crime, facts of the case, relevancy of the crime, and mitigating factors. Conviction of any of the following crimes are likely to result in a denial, unless there are significant mitigating circumstances. Aggravated murder, rape 1, sodomy 1, unlawful sexual penetration 1, sexual abuse 1. Caregiver Training Institute may deny admission to individuals who have been convicted of crimes or have a history of crimes that may not allow students to be certified in the state of Oregon as a CNA, or prevent students from attending clinicals. Clinical sites and the OSBN shall make all final clearance decisions. Cost of training. Program tuition. Tuition for the Nursing Assistant Level 1 program, which includes the class, labs, and clinical, criminal background check, school NA1 handbook, course pack, lab supplies, gate belt, costs $1,325. Tuition for the online Nursing Assistant Level 1 program, which includes the online didactic portion, classroom labs, and clinical, criminal background check, school NA1 handbook, course pack, lab supplies, and a gate belt, costs $1,425. Tuition for the Nursing Assistant Level 1 Enhanced Learning Program, which includes the class, labs, and clinical, criminal background check, school NA1 handbook, course pack, lab supplies, and gate belt, costs $1,450. OSBN Skills Review Class. An optional OSBN Skills Review class to assist NA1 students in preparing for board certification exams is available for $40. The OSBN Skills Review class must be paid for in full at the time of enrollment in the class. Cost of training. Textbook and workbooks. Textbook and workbook prices. The NA1 program textbook and workbook combo set is available for purchase at the school for $75. The NA1 program required textbook is available for purchase at the school for $55. The NA1 program workbook is optional, but it is highly recommended students purchase it. The workbook is available for purchase at the school for $35. The NA1 Enhanced Learning Program required textbook and workbook combo set is available for purchase at the school for $60. Required medical equipment for the Nursing Assistant Level 1 training program. Medical equipment required on the first day of lab includes a blood pressure cuff, stethoscope, and gait belt. A white gait belt is included in the cost of tuition. NA1 students may elect to purchase a colored gait belt for the discounted price of $5 instead of receiving the white gait belt included with the program. Medical equipment is available for purchase at the school in a kit form for $45 and is also priced individually. If you provide your own blood pressure cuff, it must not have a stethoscope attached to the cuff. Clinical rotation requirements. The following screenings and trainings are required prior to the clinical rotation. A 10-panel drug test. Oregon Health Authority regulations require that students have a 10-panel drug test to screen for substance abuse and misuse. The drug test costs $50 and must be paid for in full prior to having the tests done through the school's contracted service provider. A current American Heart Association Basic Life Support CPR card. It is a policy of Caregiver Training Institute to only accept American Heart Association Basic Life Support training. The CPR card must not expire during the program. CPR classes are available for purchase at the school for $60. A current TB skin PPD test, quantiferon blood test, or chest X-ray report for TB. The TB skin PPD test or TB quantiferon blood test must not be more than 1 year old and must not expire during the program. A chest X-ray report for TB is good for 7 years from the date the chest X-ray was read. A student statement of good health. Students are required to sign a statement of good health certifying they are in good health, free of infectious disease, and have no existing conditions that would interfere with their ability to perform the essential functions of a CNA. For example, they can talk and hear, can stand for long periods of time, can lift and or move up to 25 pounds frequently, and able to lift and or move up to 50 pounds or more occasionally. Our policy is that all Oregon Health Authority and Oregon State Board of Nursing clinical training regulation requirements must be completed and the documentation received by the school business office by the end of the day of the student's scheduled midterm exam. If a student's clinical documentation is not in place by the required deadline, they may not be allowed to go into the clinical setting. Clinical immunization requirements. Clinical sites may require that students obtain and provide documentation of receiving the current influenza vaccine prior to the start of their clinical rotation during the flu season. Clinical sites will notify the school of time frame requirements. Immunization documentation is not required for the NA1 training program. The Oregon Health Authority established administrative requirements for health professional student placements in clinical training settings, requiring students to obtain and provide documentation of the following immunizations: hepatitis B, measles, mumps, and rubella, tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis, and varicella prior to the start of their clinical rotation. Under OHA regulations, clinical facilities that have less stringent requirements for their employees may request an exemption from specific provisions of the OHA requirement through the student's training program provider. Caregiver Training Institute has pursued obtaining exemptions from all the school's NA program clinical sites. It is the policy of Caregiver Training Institute that any required immunization documentation for NA1 students must be submitted to the school office by the end of the day of the scheduled midterm exam, or that student may not go into clinical setting. Dress code. Name badge. A name badge reflecting the student's legal name will be provided at no cost by the school and must be worn at all times during the program. Appearance. A well-groomed professional appearance is required throughout the program. Classroom dress code. Students can wear neat, clean, casual dress during class sessions only. Clothing must be neat and in good repair. No rips, tears, holes, fading, or fraying. Fit properly, not tight or revealing. Be clean, freshly laundered, no stains, and wrinkle-free. Shorts, skirts, dresses above the knee, halter, crop, or low-cut tops are not allowed. Proper undergarments must be worn. No sagging. If the undergarments can be seen, the student may be sent home and will incur makeup time. Lab clinical uniform. The required uniform for skills lab and clinical is scrubs of any color or pattern. We recommend students purchase 2 sets of scrubs. If students wear scrubs embroidered with a nursing school or facility logo name, the logo name must be removed or covered during the student's clinical rotation. Scrubs must be in good repair and freshly laundered. Footwear. Footwear must be fully enclosed, non-skid soled work shoes or athletic shoes. No Crocs, slip-ons, flats, loafers, or open-heel shoes are allowed. Watch. Students will need a watch with a second hand, not digital. NA1 training program is OSBN approved and regulated. The Oregon State Board of Nursing is the government agency that licenses and regulates Oregon licensed nurses, CNAs, and CMAs. The OSBN regulates all nursing and nursing assistant training programs. Training programs are taught by OSBN approved RN and LPN instructors. OSBN certification fees. To become a CNA in Oregon, students must pass an Oregon CNA certification evaluation exam provided by Headmaster Testing Service. Once students receive their NA1 training program certificate of completion from Caregiver Training Institute, students submit a certification for examination application along with their training program certificate and processing fees to the OSBN to schedule certification testing. The OSBN CNA testing fee is $106. After the OSBN has received a student's application and fee payment for certification testing, they will send the student an email with instructions and a link unique to each applicant to set up a FieldPrint user account, schedule their fingerprinting appointment, and pay the fee for fingerprint collection services for a fingerprint-based criminal background check. The FieldPrint digital fingerprint collection service fee is $64.50. Things to do right away. Prospective students must complete an NA1 online information session and provide the school with a current email address and phone number. It is Caregiver Training Institute's policy that all prospective Nursing Assistant Level 1 training program students must complete an online information session before registering into the program. The information session offers a realistic picture of jobs and wages for certified nursing assistants, discusses school policies, and provides detailed information about the requirements, costs, skills, and training needed to become a certified nursing assistant. You will need to download and review the following PDF attachments: OSBN Booklet Nursing Assistants in Oregon, OSBN OAR Division 1 851-001-0115, DHS OAR Division 7 407 Criminal History Checks, Caregiver Training Institute Program Policies. At the conclusion of the information session, you must sign and submit the online information session student statement of acknowledgement and understanding.
Nursing Assistant Level 1 Program Registration Packet. A no-obligation registration packet will be emailed to you to review, complete, sign, and date. The registration packet includes the following documents: an enrollment agreement, financial disclosure statement, an authorization for criminal background check, a background brief authorization for consumer reports, a statement of good health, an attendance makeup policy statement of understanding, a student media consent form, a student drug test consent form, and a statement of acknowledgement and understanding. You may also pick up a copy of the registration packet from the school business office located at 12790 Southeast Stark Street, Suite 100, Portland, Oregon 97233. The school business office is open 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Reserve your spot in class. Pay your tuition fee. Reserve your spot. NA1 students must make a payment of a minimum of 50% of the tuition to reserve their seat in any upcoming NA1 class that is not closed to enrollment. Online NA1 students must pay their tuition in full. Payment reserving your seat in class will not be accepted until you complete an information session and submit your digital signature and turn in your completed, signed, and dated registration packet paperwork and eligibility documentation.
Complete the registration process. You need to come into the school business office to complete the registration process at least 2 business days prior to the start of class. You will need to submit all the completed, signed, and dated documents in your registration packet paperwork. When you come into the business office, you must bring and present a current government-issued, signature-bearing photo ID with your legal name and birth date for identity verification. Your photo ID must be provided to the business office staff at least 2 business days prior to the first day of class. We will take a copy of it for your student records.
Registration payment deadlines. Registration into a Nursing Assistant Level 1 class is closed 2 business days prior to the first day of class. At least 2 business days before class starts, you must pay your program tuition in full, unless you set up a tuition payment plan. Payment plan. Caregiver Training Institute offers a tuition payment plan for the convenience of students. Online NA1 students and students sponsored by agencies and facilities are not eligible for tuition payment plans. To set up a payment plan, you must make a minimum 50% down payment towards the cost of your program tuition and pay a $30 payment plan fee at least 2 business days prior to the first day of class. Your payment plan final payment must be received no later than the business day prior to the final written exam, or you will incur an additional $75 late payment plan fee. No student who still owes money will be allowed to take the final written exam until all their fees have been paid. Things to work on before class starts. Get your required lab, clinical uniform, footwear, and a watch with a second hand. Purchase your required textbook and optional workbook. Purchase the medical equipment required for skills lab and clinical. purchase your note-taking supplies. You will need paper, post-it flags, a notebook or 3-ring binder, highlighters, pens, and pencils. You are required to bring your textbook to school, NA1 workbook, and your note-taking supplies to the first day of class. Get ready! Clinical requirement deadlines come fast. Complete all the OHA and OSBN requirements to attend your clinical rotation. Pay for and get your drug screening. Students are advised to not delay getting their drug screening, as it takes anywhere from a few days to 1 to 2 weeks to process. Students who test positive on the drug test will not be allowed to proceed into their scheduled clinical rotation and will be required to pay for and pass a new drug test before being cleared to attend clinical. Pay for and schedule an American Heart Association Basic Life Support CPR class at the school. If you don't have a current AHA BLS CPR card, get a TB skin PPD test if you don't have current TB test documentation. Clinical training requirements must be completed and the documentation received by the school business office by the end of the day the student's scheduled midterm exam. If a student's clinical documentation is not in place by the required deadline, they will not be allowed to go into the clinical setting. Attendance requirements. Are you prepared to comply with attendance and punctuality requirements? Attendance requirements are mandatory. Time is recorded daily, and all missed time, including being tardy, leaving early, or returning late from breaks or lunch, must be made up. All missed time in the class or labs is made up in 15-minute intervals. All missed time in labs must be made up in a skills lab. All missed time in the clinical must be made up in full-day increments. You are responsible for the academic consequences of your absences and tardiness. If you do not attend your program as scheduled, you are taking a risk that there may not be time available for you to make up the time in a later program, and you may not be able to complete your program. Make-up time. Make-up time is not guaranteed. It is hard to come by and dependent upon availability. When available, make-up time is offered at the school at no additional cost for occasional absences. Under certain circumstances, students may become ineligible to make up time at no cost. Make-up time for a fee. Students who become ineligible for free make-up time may purchase make-up time, dependent upon availability, for a fee of $5 an hour in 1-hour increments in a scheduled class or clinical cohort. Students can also choose to purchase make-up time or additional skills lab practice time in any scheduled NA1 make-up class skills lab at the school with openings. The cost of an NA1 make-up class skills lab is a flat fee of $20 plus additional fees of $5 an hour assessed in 1-hour time increment. NA1 make-up class skills lab cannot be rescheduled. Students are not eligible for a refund if they fail to attend their scheduled NA1 make-up class skills lab. Program completion requirements. Nursing Assistant Level 1 students must complete all the required classroom and clinical hours of training. Students must be signed off on all the required skills on the lab and clinical skills checklist. NA1 students must pass the final exam with a score of 75% or higher. Online NA1 students must pass the final exam with a score of 80% or higher. Online NA1 students must take their final exam in the school computer lab no later than 7 days prior to the start date of the class in which they are scheduled to attend labs and the clinical rotation. If a student fails to pass the final exam, they will be given an opportunity to retest one time. Students who do not pass their final will not proceed into the clinical rotation and will be dropped from the program without refund. Program completion deadlines. Nursing Assistant Level 1 students must successfully complete the clinical portion of the program no later than 120 days following the last date of classroom instruction, or within 120 days after the successful completion of the online NA1 portion of the program. The program completion date is a date that all documentation has been submitted to the school for inclusion in the student folder and all requirements have been met. A certificate of completion will be issued no later than 10 business days after the program completion date. Are you prepared to succeed? Are you ready to learn, complete your homework assignments, participate in class, follow classroom and lab rules? You will need to come prepared for class with your homework assignments completed. Commit to paying attention and participating in classroom lab activities. Not engage in disruptive behavior or unnecessary talking. And follow all classroom and lab rules. Are you able to meet your financial commitments and payment deadlines? Do you have your financing in place? Financial responsibilities include the obligation to meet payment deadlines and pay any additional incurred fees, fines, or penalties. Do you have regular access to an email address and phone? You are responsible for providing the school with an email address, a current phone number with their voicemail set up, and sufficient mailbox space, as well as an emergency contact number. The school's primary form of communication is email, and information will typically be communicated to students via their provided email address. You are expected to check and read their email and voicemail on a daily basis in order to stay current with school-related communications. You are responsible for responding promptly to any school emails, phone calls, and letters. You must notify the school business office immediately if there are any changes to your contact information during their training program. Do you have reliable transportation? TriMet bus service is convenient to the school, but students are responsible for their own transportation to their assigned clinical sites, which may be located anywhere in the Portland metro area. Be sure to allow sufficient time to get to class and clinicals. Take potential traffic, inclement weather, and unplanned events into consideration. Commitments to consider. Students must commit to being aware of and following all Caregiver Training Institute policies and clinical facility rules. Students are held accountable for their actions and need to adhere to behavioral and code of conduct expectations, treating instructors, office and faculty staff members, and their fellow students with respect and courtesy. Students are required to comply with dress code and appearance standards. All students must be dressed in the required uniform and footwear throughout the program. All students must maintain a clean, neat, and professional appearance. Long hair must be pulled back from the face and confined. Fragrances, perfumes, colognes, aftershaves are discouraged in the classroom environment and prohibited in clinical. Fingernails must be kept clean and maintained at a length not to exceed the fingertip. Chipped polish and false nails are not allowed. Tattoos and other body art are discouraged and may be required to be covered in accordance with facility policy. Jewelry must be kept to a minimum. Discrete facial piercings may be allowed dependent upon facility policy. Students are expected to follow acceptable use policies for all personal electronic devices. Cell phones must be kept off or in silent mode and out of sight during instructional time. Personal electronic devices are to be turned off and stored during exams, quizzes, and test review situations. Cell phones are typically frowned on in the clinical environment and may not be permitted. Students are required to assist with cleanup after class and labs. Students are expected to respect the property of Caregiver Training Institute and its clinical partners. Program rescheduling policy. There is no rescheduling fee if a student notifies the school in writing of their intention to reschedule their program at least 2 business days prior to the start of class. A student will incur a $35 program rescheduling fee if they notify the school in writing of their intention to reschedule their program prior to class starting, but less than 2 business days prior to the start of class. To comply with OSBN regulations on starting labs with a set time frame, an online NA1 student will incur a $75 rescheduling fee to reschedule their program if they fail to take their online final exam as originally scheduled and or fail to attend their first lab day as originally scheduled. Rescheduling fees must be paid at the time a student reschedules their program. NA1 students may reschedule their program a maximum of 3 times. Online NA1 students may reschedule their program 1 time only. Once they have started their program, a student may not reschedule their class and switch into another scheduled class for any reason. Program tuition refund policy. If the school cancels the class prior to the first day of the program, students will be offered a full refund, or they may choose to enroll into a future class at that time. A full refund of tuition paid will be given when a student notifies the school business office of their desire to withdraw in writing more than 2 business days prior to the start of their scheduled program. A full refund of tuition paid minus a 10% program cancellation fee will be given if a student notifies the school business office of their intention to withdraw from their scheduled program in writing 2 business days prior to the start of class. A partial refund, 50% of tuition paid, will be given if a student attends their scheduled class on the first day, but gives written notice of their intention to withdraw before the end of the first day of class. No refund policy. No tuition will be refunded if the student fails to attend their scheduled program on the first day of class, fails to notify the school in writing of their intention to withdraw, fails to meet program completion requirements. A student who is unable to proceed into the clinical rotation and complete the program due to missing or incomplete documentation is not entitled to a refund. Once an online NA1 student receives access to didactic training. Textbook refund policy. Textbooks will only be accepted for refund from students who drop their program prior to starting class if they are in new condition, unopened, and not used or marked in. Termination from the program. Students may be terminated from their program without refund for failure to follow school and clinical facility policies and regulations, failure to meet or comply with program attendance and completion requirements and deadlines, unacceptable behavior or conduct that is unbecoming of a CNA, fraud, dishonesty, misrepresentation, suspicion of drug or alcohol use, or cheating in any form. Congratulations! You have successfully completed Caregiver Training Institute's online NA1 information session. Please sign and date the online information session statement of acknowledgement and understanding by clicking the Submit button below. reading the statement of acknowledgement and understanding, and digitally signing the form. By signing and submitting the statement, you document and acknowledge you have completed the NA1 online information session and have reviewed and understand the information, regulations, policies, financial responsibilities, and behavioral expectations covered in the presentation.